Okay. So, welcome everyone to our June call. We are going to be looking at AI, seeing as it's a bit of a hot topic at the moment, and we've got some awesome people ready to share, but we'd love you to also share your ideas either in the chat or feel free to come off mute if you've got a cool idea that you want to share as well. And so Rachel is going to kick us off with our karakia. Feel free to join in.
Kia ora koutou, me karakia. Sorry, just admitting people. Inoi karakia, whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau ki te tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. E hiaki ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he hauhu, ti hei mauri ora.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay, so we've just jumped in here with a couple of bits of information first before we kick off with our amazing contributors. This report was shared recently, and I thought it might be one that people might be interested in jumping into. So the impacts of generative AI use on children. So it's something that a few people had questions about. So I've just linked that there for you. There's two links at the bottom. You can see one says read the research, and one says read the recommendations. So the recommendations is a summary of what they found, and it does make for some really interesting reading. So that's just there if you are interested to have a look. And then we had quite a few questions about tools, or a tool, a multi-purpose tool that teachers could use that wasn't a subscription tool. So this one was shared, I can't even remember where I saw it shared, but it was shared a few months ago. Teacherserver.com. There's teacher server and teacher servers. So don't put the S on the end or you'll end up somewhere completely different. But the link's there just for you to click on. And as you can see, it has 1,127 free tools for educators. That is quite overwhelming. So you can see on the left-hand side on the toolbar, you can break it down. And as you scroll down, there are some more categories. So you can just click on a category. If you're just interested in looking at maths prompts, then just click on maths and you'll just see those. It comes from the University of South Florida. And the reason that I really like this one is because at the very bottom of the homepage, you will find lots of research articles that this tool has been based on. So they do a lot of research into generative AI in education. They post that research so that you can have a look into it. And then they also have the development of their tools. So for those people who are looking for one that's got some kind of pre-trained, ready-made prompts in the background that you can just pick up and use, that might be a really helpful one. So moving on to our first contributor, and Rachel is going to do the introductions, and I'll post the link to the slide deck in the chat so you can grab it if you want to.
Thanks, Donna. I do have the absolute pleasure of introducing people tonight, and it's my mate Andrew Corney. Just Corny is what we call him. I had the pleasure of hanging out with Corny last week at EduTech in Sydney. We both presented in the Google Teaching Theatre. So, Corny, take it away and show us your magic.
Yeah, look, thank you very much. Hey, so a lot happening over at the EduTech conference in Sydney last week. And this little tool here, I had used it before, but only for text-based outputs with Google Gemini Canvas. And then, yeah, one of the educators in the teaching theatre goes, and Canvas can do this and it can do that. And so that just unraveled a whole bunch of different sort of opportunities or things that you can create. So it's the code generator part of Gemini, but because of the interface, you can see how that code will actually run as a website. So I've got a couple of examples there. So I'm not sure who's driving, maybe Donna, if you want to click on perhaps the first link.
Andrew, do you want me to make you a co-host and you can share your screen and then you can just take us away and show us demo whatever you want to?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's
really branch out. And I totally trust you with the controls. That's how caring we are in this community. All right, you're a co-host, so I'll stop sharing and you can share your screen and then you can just feel free to show us whatever you like.
Sweet. Okay, make sure that I share my whole window rather than one tab and talk about a tab that you can't see. So you should be seeing the tab of Gemini Is that right? Everyone can see that? Yeah, awesome. So this, I found myself to be a business studies teacher, and I don't really know a lot about teaching business studies, and we've got this particular standard that's got some key terms. So I thought, why don't I make an interactive quiz? So I used the prompt, as you can see here, to come up with these key terms. But I basically, just the guts of it is make an interactive self-marking quiz for the following key terms. And it's got the code view. So Gemini makes the code, it's HTML, and you can preview, you can interact with it in this interface here. So, you know, you can go on and see how much you know about Business Studies 2.1. So interactive quiz. So obviously this.
Andrew's frozen for a minute. While we
Version
wait for him
you.
to, oh, he's back.
back.
You froze for a minute there, Andrew.
Oh, sorry. Did
He
you
is in
see the
Queenstown, it's
part
a
of
bit
the, yeah, internet's not so good down here. It's so cold. So I'll just move on to the next one. Hopefully you got the gist of that interactive quiz. The next one, I was invited to present at a school on AI tools just this week. And I thought, oh, a cool activity would be a bingo board, you know, try some different tools and get 3 in a row. And I was going to give this bit of paper out, but because I'd just been to this conference, I thought maybe I can make that interactive. So yeah, look, bingo board, you can, you know, click on the buttons to try and make a line. And I also made these links clickable. So if you want to try the Google Classroom, click on that link, it'll take you to Google Classroom. And the last one I've got to share with you, and I'm sure, Michael, you can see you on the.
Oh, he's frozen again.
Yeah. Justine, well, I'll answer your question. So what you can do is on the code. Hey, Andrew, I'm just going to answer Justine's question. She asked, how do you then share that out with the kids? So what you can do is, can you flick to the code section, Andrew?
I was just going to show you that, but wait.
Oh, all right. So I won't answer it. We'll let you show. And
I will answer it. So there's the code. So how do you share with kids? Because that's a great question. So I've made this little interactive. You can copy that code and pop it onto a Google site. Okay. And so the way that you do that, so, you know, it's still fully interactive. I can move my slider to get my cricket balls and my rugby balls moving a bit faster. Probably not sure I've got the Kelvin temperature quite right. Michael's going to call me out for that. But it's just as simple as in a new page. And rather than a text box, you use this embed. Okay, and there's 2 options for the embed, by URL or embed code. And that's where you paste all the HTML, publish the page, and then you basically share that link with your learners via Google Classroom. It also works with, you know, it's hosted on my WordPress site here. So really, really powerful way of creating these things and sharing them with your learners. Now, I was going to think of trying a live demonstration of a Matariki one that I just created there, and it just got too much fun. And I know there's other people to talk. So yeah, Google Gemini Canvas. I will. I'm happy to answer any questions, or I'll pass it on to the next person.
Does anyone have any questions for Andrew before we move on? Either come off mute and ask them or put them in the chat. One thing I will say, Andrew, is I've used that canvas a lot. Well, not a lot, but a few times to make interactives for my kids, and it's worked inside Gemini. But when I've copied the code, something hasn't worked properly. And so when I've gone back and I've said to Canvas, hey, it works here, but when I've copied it into the site, it's not working properly. And it's always come back to me and said, I don't understand it because it's something to do with code language. But it comes back and says, oh, sorry, I didn't just use HTML. I used something and something else. I'll redo the code for you just using HTML. So sometimes at the start of your prompt, if you say, I want to embed it in a Google site, it will just use the code that's going to work in a Google site. Justine, go for it. Oh,
that has happened to me. Yep.
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened to me, I had this nice confetti animation in my bingo board when they got bingo, but then they couldn't scroll down to the other content underneath because it had added this other tag, HTML tag. But I just asked Gemini, hey, I can't scroll down my page. And it said, oh, that's because I've added this tag, and it removed it and it was fine. But yeah, great tip, preempt that prompt with only show an HTML. Love it.
Okay, I'll give that a go. What Michael wrote that it had to be part of, the kids needed to be part of Sandbox. What does that mean?
So we're working through that at our school at the moment, whether to give all the students access to these features, because it's now 13 plus. So if you want to share it directly, rather than going to the Google Sites way, you'd have to have them all on the same network, because obviously if you're a teacher, you should be in that kind of sandbox, if that makes any sense. Probably not.
Thanks, Michael. Perfect. And I think I read somewhere that the ages of Gemini in education is about to change. So that might help with that as well if you wanted to share it within Gemini without having to put it elsewhere.
Yeah, I think August.
Yeah, that's what our data managers just emailed us to make a decision on whether to do that. So I'm in favour of it, and I just have to get the other voices of the EdTech group to agree with me. I can convince people.
Yeah, so that's a yes, Justine.
Admins. For those people wondering, the email went out to Google admins in the last day or so. So check in with your admin and they'll be able to give you more info.
Yeah, and Beck said the same thing's coming for Notebook LM. So that's really awesome. Cool, Andrew. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. Over to Rachel.
Cool. Can you just share the slides again, Donna? They've gone. I'm about to introduce you to Glenn. Glenn Mackay, have I said your surname correctly, Glenn? I hope so.
Mackay, but you're not the first one to say that.
Okay, sorry. I was having a wild stab in the dark. So Glenn is from Southall School in Hamilton and is the head of digital, lead digital.
Yep.
Is that correct? So first time presenter, I think. So welcome to our little gig space, and Glenn is going to introduce us to GEMS.
Cool, thank you. Been here many times, first time putting my hand up to do something, but Google GEMS I've been playing with for the last few weeks after seeing Steve at Interface, and he showed us his meal planner one. So I decided to try and make the meal planner, which I made. But then it made me think, how can I use this in class? And how can our teachers at school use it to make their lives a lot easier? So I've played around with a few different things that have been pretty successful for our teachers. So if you haven't seen GEMS, it tells you there what they are. But basically you go to Gemini, you click on the 3 hot dogs on the left and it shows up with the Explore GEMS. And then that opens the window there on the right where you click your new gem. If you can go to the next slide, please. And then basically when you make your gem, you just got to fill all the stuff out. You have to give it a name, your instructions. You generally start with your normal prompt. So tell it, you're a teacher at a New Zealand school following the New Zealand curriculum and what you want it to do. But then I get it to ask questions, and I'll show you that on the next slide. Can you just go back, sorry? So once you've put your instructions in, you click the magic pen and that rewrites your instructions for you. I've found in some it's fully rewritten them and made it like 2 pages long, but then I've found in another one it didn't really rewrite them at all, but it still does the same. Knowledge, you can add documents or sites that it will refer to, or you can just let it search the whole web. And then you can preview it and see if it works and then save it. And if you go to the next slide. So the prompts I use, you're a teacher using the New Zealand curriculum who needs to create follow-up activities for a student to complete based on a reading they have completed. And then I get it to ask me questions. So it'll probably be easier if I can show you my screen and I can show you an example of what I get it to do.
1 minute caller, I will make you a co-host right now. Just let me find you. Alphabetical order. You would think I could have worked that one out before now. There we go. You are a co-host, Glenn. So I'll stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Cool. So can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Entire screen, that one there. Share. Oh.
Yep, now we can see it.
Okay, so if I go to my GEMS, and I literally got a new computer yesterday, so my stuff that I've downloaded is not here anymore. So I'll show you a reading generator that I created. So everyone's got that kid in their class that struggles at reading or doesn't like reading. So I created this one where you can make any type of reading. So if I go hi, I always say hi to be nice to wake it up. So would you like to use a current reading? So I used this with another teacher, and we uploaded this plus here, journal PDF, and then we could rewrite that in different levels for different kids. So if you wanted to do a study on, like we were using a worms one, and if it was too hard for some kids, you could get that written at a lower level. So you could use journal PDFs or start from scratch. So I'll just tell it scratch topic. So my little boy loves surfing. And genre, we want it to have a narrative because we're working on those in class at the moment. And then level, so level 2. And lengthwise, I don't think it fully understands length really, but it just gives it a rough idea. And his name is Johnny, so I'm going to make it about Johnny, who loves surfing in Raglan. So make it a bit specific to him. And then it creates my reading there for me, which obviously as a teacher I'll read through. I can get it to make it at a lower level if I want, or make it easier to read or harder to read. But then what I can do is I take that reading and then go to my next one that we created, which was a resource generator. Open up, and I copy and paste my reading in, Control V. Just delete that. And then it goes through and asks me what I want to create. So Johnny, still level 2. We want some reading activities, some vocab and spelling. And you can be more specific with your spelling. So if you're doing certain blend or prefixes or suffixes, whatever you can put in there. Differentiated, no, but yes for a fast finisher. And then here's some reading activities based on that text that I've got for Johnny, some vocabulary activities and some spelling activities. And then if I don't like things in there, I can ask it to change things. So if I wanted to add 10 comprehension questions, I just go add 10 comprehension questions, and it'll do that for me as well. And what I was playing around with the other day as well was using that Canvas option and making flip cards as well with my vocab activities. So yeah, that's Google Gems. Still playing with it, but I think it's amazing. And yeah, I know what I'm going to be doing for my holidays. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn. That was fantastic. Well done.
There's some really, I'm sure people have got some great ideas of how they, and I love that you did something with one gem and then put it into another gem. Like, yeah, great workflow. That's awesome. And Amber says that was very informative. Thanks, Glenn.
All good.
Thank you for being a first-time sharer.
Just one more thing. We're turning into a PYP school as well, so or an IB school. So I've created an IB one that helps create a whole IB unit, and it literally takes you 5 minutes, and then I can get it to do my lesson by lesson plan, and then I can tease out those lessons even further. Just amazing. It's just a game changer, I think.
We need to talk, Glenn, because we're a PYP school as well.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. We're just going down Candidacy now. All
right. Yeah. Anytime. Happy to chat. All right, Jeremy, I have already made you a co-host. So if once Rachel's introduced you, feel free to go for it.
Well, this fine young man is Jeremy Ferguson. He is teaching at Corfi Intermediate in Auckland. And I also had the pleasure of hanging out with Jeremy last week at EduTech. So welcome, Jeremy. Show us your magic. Jeremy was in the, what do we call it? The Chromebook what? I call it Chromebook. What was it?
Chromebook Lounge, I think, was the official phrase. But there were various different Chromebook corridor, Chromebook place, hangout spot, where all the cool kids were, things like that.
Where all the cool kids were, exactly. Yeah. Cool Kids Jordan was also in there with you. So thanks so much, Jeremy, for sharing your expertise with us tonight. So take it away.
Awesome. Good, Rachel. Just on that note, I just wanted to take an opportunity before we get started just to mihi to the crew that were there at EduTech in Sydney last week. I had the privilege of being able to sort of hang out in the back of the space a lot and see what people were doing, and like it was just it was really cool to see the expertise and the knowledge that we as Kiwis have on within this community being on display, and we like there were people using phrases like Kiwis punching above their weight, and I think that just really sums up how we sort of go about it. And also Rach was part of a panel with a crew of other GEG leaders on the Thursday and chatting just about this group and what we do and stuff, and it was really cool to just be able to sit there and be really proud of all the incredible work that the leadership of this group organised for us all, and just the opportunities that we have to get connected. So just wanted to say that before I jump in. But yeah, so tonight I'm talking about VO, which is part of Google AI Studio. If you haven't seen this, this is really cool. I will just give a shout out to another friend, Mrs. Rebecca Rose, who's on the call, who I first saw this when she was demoing it in a school. So just shout out to you, Bex, for that, because I've since been able to jump in and have a lot of fun with it. But basically, yeah, this is part of AI Studio. So aistudio.google.com, and then you choose the generate media section down the side there, and then VO. Basically, that's what the landing page looks like. Just in terms of jumping in, so basically the process is you need to enable access to Google Drive through single sign-on in order to get started. Once you're in, and it prompts you through the process, and that just means that when you're wanting to if you're wanting to download, you can. It just makes it nice and straightforward. And basically, what you need to do is just chuck in what you would like to see. So in that describe your video box in the middle of the screen there. So yeah, you put your prompt in terms of what you're wanting to see. There is also next to that box there the ability to add an image or a reference material that you'd like to see. And then basically it's a case of on the right hand side there where it says run settings, you have the ability to choose whether you'd like it like the aspect ratio, so whether you want it to be basically sort of portrait or landscape, and then the duration, frame rate, resolution, etc., and also that negative prompt as well. So if you're wanting to be quite specific in terms of what you're wanting, like if you want someone to be running down the road, you can say like stuff like "don't stand still" and that kind of thing, and it will just sort of help aid against some of those sort of hallucinations that we can sometimes get within generative AI features like this. A few things to note: it is currently limited to 2 outputs a day because it's just a free version initially. I imagine, as we've seen with all of the Google AI stuff that's come down the pipeline over the last couple of years, I imagine that will sort of start to be pushed out further and access to more stuff as we go. And you may have seen that VO3 has come down the pipeline. This is the VO2 model, but it can take a few attempts to get to generate. So one thing you might find as you're doing it is it'll pop up saying, like there was a red error message I was getting a few times where it was like, oh, we're experiencing high numbers of requests just because of the fact that this is so new that people all over the world are having a play with it. So I sort of liken a little bit to like crank starting a lawnmower. You sort of just have to persevere for a few seconds with that, and after a little while, it does take off. It does generally take around 50 seconds or so for it to generate the response. Providing, of course, that you've got a stable connection, it can be quicker, it can take longer, depending on what your Wi-Fi is like. In terms of output, this is what I did. So, sort of prompted by a example that I saw Bex do at a school that we were at together, where she uploaded a photo of like I think it was just like the tennis courts or something outside of the school. Basically, we were having a particularly wet day a couple of weeks ago in Auckland, and it was basically stuck inside all day with kids who were miserable. I'm like, right, let's have some fun. So I just went outside, took a photo of our school field, and then uploaded that as the reference image, and said, have a speedboat drive across this a flooded school field. and as you can see, after a few minutes, after a few seconds, it spat out this as the output, which I think on the whole is pretty good. You can sort of see there, like sort of up in the top right corner of the frame, there's a few of it sort of generated a few buildings that don't actually exist. So there's a little bit of hallucination there, but I think on the whole, that's pretty cool. And it was a fun way to try and I sent it out to some of my colleagues and for some of the more innocent, more gullible kids in our school, they sort of had them thinking for a moment, but you can sort of get the idea that it would be quite a cool, particularly for like a younger audience, a way to have like some, like whether it might be creative writing ideas or things like that, or as a way to kick off some creativity. I did another one, so this was based on again being over there last week in Sydney, a demo I was doing for some teachers, and the prompt was create a flock of flamingos landing on the Sydney Opera House. I'm not even sure if it's a group of flamingos is flock, but someone who's got it's more intelligent than me will be able to answer that question. But yeah, basically this was with no input at all. So there was no image of the Opera House. It was literally just text input. So I think on the whole it did pretty good. Yeah, I mean, if you compare to the size of the people, those are some pretty big flamingos. But yeah, I think on the whole it's pretty cool in terms of what it's managed to do with the output. And then with this next slide, you can see it's not quite 100% foolproof. So there's I uploaded my ugly mug onto it, and I said the man in the video is waving at the camera. And as you'll see in a moment when I play it, it sort of reminded me of a time where I had some dental work done under anesthesia, and then found on my phone a couple of hours later that I had made a video because I'd just been doing some content creation stuff, and I was, yeah, it reminded me of that. As you'll see in a moment, I basically asked it to wave, and it waves initially, but then this guy's rambling on, looking like a munter. But so you can see it's a little bit of hallucination there in the output, but you can get the idea that it's a pretty cool tool. And yeah, I saw tonight looking on, I think someone shared on LinkedIn, there was a video, like a vlog style of the whole sort of story of the Trojan horse and that war, and it was from the perspectives of the guys going in the horse, and it was quite interesting, and that was done using VO3, which is that new model. So all that said, there's some pretty incredible tools coming down the pipeline, and yeah, so I would definitely encourage you to have a play with AI Studio if you haven't already. This is only one tool of that, but yeah, have a go, jump in, see what you can find. But yeah, that's me. So I'll stop sharing, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them. But yeah, the best advice I can give would be just to jump in and have a play with it. That's basically what I did. Part of my motivation was like, let's see if I can trick my mother-in-law into thinking that this is a real video. Yeah, the other thing that I did too, like my sister, is like seriously afraid of like praying mantises and sloths. And so what I did is I made a video of those two creatures doing a waltz, and chucked it into our family chat. It was probably booted out, but it was worth it for a laugh. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, both in the professional and also for having a laugh, it's a really cool tool that I would recommend jumping and have a play with. But yeah, kia ora.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. There's some great ideas there. Maybe not some of them for the classroom, but definitely some fun ones to try. Does anyone have any questions for Jeremy or want to add something that you've done with VO or with gems? And thanks, Bex. She's dropped a link into the chat of some gems that they've been collecting. So if you want to jump in and have a look at some gems that people have been sharing, that's really awesome. Thanks, Bex, for sharing that. Anyone want to come off mute and add something or pop it in the chat, or are we ready to move on?
No, I've just been using VEO3 to make little 8-second, 10-second physics video concepts. So, for example, terminal velocity, so showing the different drag. The only problem is the 2 or 3 prompts, it eats it up very quickly because the physics doesn't quite get it right. So it takes a bit of effort. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Michael. That's a good idea. Anything else anybody wants to share that they've been doing? I actually had a little play with it with the kids today because we were doing writing. Oh, sorry, Jeremy. And they were really struggling to get the order of their sentences in a paragraph correctly. So I thought rather than just go back over paragraphs and order of sentences in a paragraph, I actually pulled it up and I got them to give me a prompt, and we talked about the order of the prompt and how if we wanted to prompt some information about a girl, we had to put all the information about the girl together. We couldn't put some information about the girl, then talk about the sea, then go back to talk about the girl. And it was really, really powerful in getting the kids to think about what information belonged together. So that was quite fun. We just did that as a bit of a change up today. Bex, go for it.
Yeah, I just thought I'd jump on and talk about some of those gems too. Glenn, that's such a great idea with the reading thing. That was something that they were doing. We got going at the school I was working at, but what they did was did a 3-level plan for reading or writing. And so what they do is put the text in and it would spit out. I can't keep seeing that video of Jeremy, it just cracks me up.
Sorry, I'm trying to find the writing and it's not showing. Oh, stop. I'm going to stop.
And so they'd put in the text and we would get it to spit out a level 1, a level 2 and a level 3 follow-up or comprehension around the text. But the trick at the end was that there were also ESOL kids within the classroom, and so they would also spit out the Mandarin version that would have some English but some Mandarin on some of the trickier words at a level 2 of New Zealand curriculum, and then same with the Korean or whatever. So with one click of a button, the text was spit out into lots of different levels, which was really helpful. And the other one that was very popular was with the report writer gem. So not just saying write reports or still giving reports the mana they deserve, but with a lot of prompting in that space to be able to showcase in the knowledge how they've written reports before, so it still sounds like them, and giving them some really concrete sort of prompts to make sure they still came out really, really well. So there was a lot of work around it, but they worked very well for that school.
Bex, I heard of a school where they did a report writing gem, and what the teacher did was she had a PDF of her previous report comments and took all the names out, took the school names out, took the kids' names out, and then uploaded that into the gem and said, use this as a reference for tone, which I thought was a really cool idea.
Made a really big difference. It was absolutely worth it because it just came out sounding just like how they would have said it. So that was really cool. And just to go onto the chat, so Canva dropped today. If you go into Canva AI, which all teachers should have the pro account for free. If you don't, just send me a message. Canva AI, and now alongside the coding and all that kind of stuff is also create a video clip, and it's VO3 in the background. So go hard. That's my weekend sorted.
Yeah, I had a look at my Canva. It says I have Canva for education, but I do not have the video option. So yeah,
maybe it's still coming to NZ.
It drops slower in your neck of the wood, maybe just a little bit slower.
Maybe. Strange.
I managed to find the questions without having to show Jeremy's video again. Somehow we had some blank slides in there. Thanks for sharing that, Bex. That's really helpful. Anything else before we move on to, we'll cover the questions that came up in this. Actually, I think we had some resources. I think I missed that. Yeah, we did. So some people had asked, sorry, I just did that without pausing. Any more questions? Go, Rachel.
This might seem really basic given what I've just heard and the expertise in this group, but we found out with some of our students that their active listening skills weren't fabulous via our PAT listening results from our local high school. So something that we've just done over the last couple of weeks is using Gemini to create a level 4 exemplar of Should There Be a McDonald's in Alexandra, which we then titivated, but then created that audio overview. And so used that as our starter where the students listen to the podcast of the two speakers arguing McDonald's in Alexandra, They then used that to plan out what the key words were and what the plan would have looked like for the piece of writing. And then we showed them the exemplar and we looked at all the features of persuasive writing. So it was really great, simple, but a great use of more than one form of media.
That's an awesome idea, Rachel. Thank you for sharing. That's not basic at all. That's a really great way to present the learning in a format that fits the needs of what you have for your students. That's amazing. Thank you. See, just as while I paused, I'm going to pause again. Anyone else want to share? Okay, so some of the things we've just thrown on here that speak to some of the questions that were raised. There were lots of questions that came up around frameworks and policies and kind of government guidance and things like that. So on here, these are all links that you can explore later on. The TTA have done a lot of work around generating culturally appropriate frameworks for us here in New Zealand. So you might want to jump in there and have a look at those. There's an AI competency framework for teachers that I think it was posted in the AI ED community of practice, but I think Michael, might have been you that posted it. Somebody posted it, and it's really helpful for you. Yeah, for you as a teacher to go in and have a look at where your competency fits. Some amazing person in America has created this list of tools, all AI tools, and has put the links to their privacy and policies, has put links to their terms and conditions, has put a comment about what they might be useful for. It's a massive list, and way too big to kind of get your head around. But if you're looking for one place with lots of cool tools that has relevant information, you might want to have a look at that. There's a sample policy there that's come from Dr. Simon McCullum at the Auckland University. If you're looking for a policy idea for your school, and then at the bottom are the two links from Tahurangi and the MOE guidance on generative AI there. There is also, I haven't linked it because it's not particularly New Zealand focused, but there is a really great New South Wales guidance for a framework for AI. If you just Google New South Wales AI framework, it will come up. And they've got a great one-pager that summarizes it as well. So just some resources that you can go and have a look for around that, the kind of written policy side of it. Okay, before we move on, Rachel's asked a question, what are you thinking about Gemini being open to your students? Does anybody want to throw in what their school's thinking around that?
I'm happy to have a conversation around that. I feel like at the moment there's a huge percentage of teachers who don't really fully understand how things work and how it can be utilised in education. So I think that we definitely need to start with teachers and upskilling them. And I know that there's a lot on everybody's plates in schools at the moment, but definitely starting with our teachers and then slowly releasing it out to our kids. I mean, our teachers have to be confident in what they're delivering, right? So, and have to be knowledgeable about what they're doing. And I know some people love to be the early adopters and go guns blazing, but sometimes you can't undo the bad habits that you create when you're not fully informed. So yeah, definitely looking at that, and often little PD sessions with your teachers is definitely the place to start, I would say. Just saying. And maybe like a leadership group of cool kids, early adopters, kids that are really sensible and could put those things in place and then teach other kids, like a tuakana type situation. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think that's really sensible, Rachel. And I think the other thing to think about there is your community. And I think if you're giving access to your students without consultation with your community, and you're not necessarily confident that your staff are all confident and competent with it, then I think you're also opening yourselves up for some potential conversations that you probably don't need or want to have. So, Jeremy, do you want to add something to that too?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's alarming how many schools haven't even thought about the idea of an AI policy. I mean, I'm doing some research for my master's at the moment, and like it's incredible to realize how many schools haven't thought about it, because teachers will be using it, like those early adopters. The other thing I'd say would be like direct people towards like these kind of calls, because this is the kind of like, these are the kind of like forums where people will come in and be able to learn like examples and like like situations that are working well, but also that that are using tools that are set up with the right kind of safeguards and the right kind of protections and things. So it's not just people open sourcing information. I'm sure there's people on this call who could talk to some horror stories of what they've heard about people, teachers and principals and things chucking up sensitive information online. But yeah, like there's so much expertise in this forum, for example, where you can bring those questions and stuff. But yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy. And I think maybe what should be on there that isn't is kind of some guidance for your teachers around how, when, why kind of thing once they are comfortable using it. Some really good discussion, team. Thank you for that. And feel free to chip in. Does anybody else want to add their thoughts or something that they've come across or something that their schools talked about?
Yeah, I guess our conversations around GEMS. So a lot of my maths department in particular basically want to outsource marking to the AI. And I was quite clear on, no, we're not doing that, thank you. That humans have to be basically making the final decision. And the MOE is clear on that, at least in the secondary setting, that humans have to be making the decision on what grades are, not the artificial intelligence. I guess in the notebook LM, though, I find it quite useful as a way to give students resources in a different form or different media, like that podcast, for example. So I can see utility as a secondary teacher, allowing the ability to share notebook LMs with my students.
Also, good point. Thanks, Michael. It's a really valid point about the marking. And I think maybe sometimes too, when we get groups of teachers who are wanting to use it to do that work, is that showing us that their understanding and their ethical, critical thinking around it is still developing. So some great things to think about. Okay, so, and one of the questions we also had a lot was around how do you use AI in primary school? Because currently it isn't available for children in primary school, and where we're talking about the state teachers are at, it probably shouldn't be, but I've just put two links there to two book creators that I've been using with my kids. The one on the right has been created using resources from Common Sense Media, and it focuses on being a principled digital citizen, but at the end it has one little idea about AI that is designed to inform primary school kids to learn to understand what AI is, because I strongly believe that our primary school students have to learn what it is and how it works in a very simple, basic form first, so that they can understand about the need to be ethical and critical with it. So when they get through to middle school and they are given a tool that they can use, they have an understanding of what's working in the background. They know it's not a person, they know it's a software program, they know it's based on predictions, they know it's making mathematical predictions. They have that basic understanding, and so therefore they can use it a little bit more ethically and critically. So the two books are designed to encourage a development in them of what it is at a basic level and how it works at a basic level. And the activities that are in there are things like auto draw and quick draw, but it explains to them how the AI is working in those two tools and what it's doing. So they're just there as some ideas, either for staff can work through it. We actually found that a lot of our staff use, especially the one on the left, because that's just solely generative AI, whereas the one on the right brings in the digital citizenship too. So they're just a couple of resources that you can use if you want to. And then our questions. So feel free, anyone, to throw in answers to these. Clarify the ages when students can use AI. I think are we all good with that one? And
Yep.
the legal rules. That's why we threw those earlier things in.
I think our mate Steve also joined us. Johnny come lately to the party, so he can answer some of these questions too.
He has. I noticed that.
Policies. That's why I asked if there was a calendar for it, because if my calendar doesn't give me a Fitbit notification 5 minutes beforehand, I'm like, I got nothing to do.
But you did get a notification, so that was good.
I did.
The question about buying teacher chat GPT. I don't know if people have advice whether your schools have bought a tool for you. if anyone's got a view on whether schools should be paying for tools for teachers, does anyone want to throw in something there?
Well, the thing is, Microsoft and Google both give you free AI tools, so I wouldn't know why you'd be bothering purchasing ChatGPT.
And from a really tight teacher perspective, why would you bother? Just got to learn how to prompt properly, and it gives you everything that you need. I agree, Michael.
Exactly.
Why would you pay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. You two great answers. We've talked about using it with junior children. What is the best AI tool that is designed for primary school teachers? Would we say Gemini or Notebook LM?
Horses for course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Gems. Bexa says gems. Yeah, it's really, there isn't a best tool. It's really understanding how to use the tools, and then you will be able to do the job that you want to do. How can AI support data analysis? Steve Smith, take it away.
Couple of different ways with the file uploaded to Gemini now, you can do that. But if you're gonna do real grunty data analysis, that's where you would actually go for a paid version. So the paid version of Gemini will give you Gemini inside Looker Studio as well. So if you want to get super grunty with data analysis, and you are looking at, I would suggest that's probably one of the times when you would buy a bigger gruntier tool. So Gemini, for instance, will sit inside of slides, inside of Looker, inside of AppSheet as well. So yeah, if you're going to do bigger stuff like that, I think that's probably where you might make the investment, the massive investment of what, $27 a month for paid Gemini. So that's my advice on that one. Free Gemini will do some, but depends how well. Give it a road test.
Thanks, Steve. How can is anyone using chatbots in their classroom? Anyone?
Yep, I am. My senior classes. So basically the chatbots are giving them only for the formative assessment. So it's giving them kind of rough and ready feedback on their original drafts. So that way I'm not marking over the space of a week. It's like within 20 seconds, they've got feedback. And then we can have a discussion in class while I'm walking around to kind of look at that feedback. Yeah.
Donna, I've
Thanks,
used a chatbot. I actually created it in Canvas. So what I did is deep research in Gemini around the Māori land wars, looking at Aotearoa New Zealand histories. And then what I did, basically, I concentrated on a specific part of the Māori land wars, and then I put that information, asked Canvas to create me a chatbot that the kids could interact with about all of the information about the Māori land wars. So there was a recording option for the kids to record and or type their question, and then when the chatbot responded, they could either listen to the chatbot, respond obviously to their Māori pronunciation, isn't that flash? But yeah, just using Canvas inside Gemini, that created that interactive chatbot for me that I could embed in the Google site.
Okay, so we talked about you showing your awesomeness, and I completely cut you off before when I went to the questions.
Do you want to share? No, we're running out of time. It's fine. We can do it another time. It's all good.
Okay, if we have majority wants to see it at the end, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
I think we've kind of talked about the assessment. Does anybody want to throw in their thoughts on AI for assessment? An example of school AI policy.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that. Susanna Thomas.
Go, Michael.
Yeah, Susanna Thomas at Westlake Girls. She's kind of at the forefront of that, at least in the secondary space. So I'll get in touch with her. Just a shout out to her.
Ranatara College have just launched their board policy on AI as well. If people want to link up with them, their SLT had quite a good discussion around it. So they have actually created something quite specific.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Maybe those people that all have access to the slides, if you know of a school or a person, North Cross Intermediate, thanks, Jeremy, or you've got some examples that you're willing to share, either link the person's contact on the slides or link an example. Or put the person's name on the slides. That'd be really helpful. Some tips and tricks for Gemini. I think we've covered that. What is free for teachers and get great uses tool. I think we've covered that. All right, we're up to you, Steve Smith. Updates.
All right. There's been a couple. I mean, the biggest one, realistically, as you've been talking about, is the change of age for both Notebook and Gemini. If you are a school admin or you know a school admin, you will have got a couple of updates. One is an email, which outlines exactly what's happening, how you can opt out if you want to, how you can keep things as they are if you want to, or how you can go full speed if you want to as well. The other one is inside the admin console. There is a new tile that has popped in with a great big blue Gemini on it, and there's some information in there as well. So that's one of the biggest things that has kind of happened at the moment. There have been a couple of other ones. There is a new analytics page inside of Google Classroom, which gives you some student information like this kid hasn't interacted with anything for the last couple of weeks, or this person hasn't had anything in, or this person's done everything. So there is some AI gain in the back of Classroom there. There are also now quizzes available on Canvas, so you can build interactive quizzes inside of Canvas. Now, those are still at the moment 18 plus, but for teachers to build those interactive quizzes and then, as Rach was saying, post them into your site or WordPress or Blogger or wherever you want to put it, that is there as well. There is also an upgrade to Meet, which I know people are going, Meet? We're not learning from home anymore. But there has been an upgrade to Meet where you can plug in a document camera, and now you can also plug in directly an external camera. Now, why this is really useful is if you're thinking about the end of the year, prize giving, sports night, cultural night, you can actually plug in an external video camera directed to Meet and live stream that. Now, sorry, Donna, when you're using Workspace Plus, you can obviously live stream Meet direct to YouTube live to 100,000 people. So that's all built in for nothing. So you can effectively live stream anything from school to an unlisted YouTube link. One of the nice updates that's popped in recently. And I think it is my favorite tool now is Notebook LM. The Notebook LM app has launched. So it is an actual legit app for Android and Fruit phones. So it's not just the web app. It is actually a fully built app on your phone. So that is now available. That's super exciting. I think the other one is there is if you are kind of super nerdy and you like to have a little bit of a look at things like hacking and data leaks and those sorts of things that happen, I'm going to drop a link into the chat. There was recently another data leakage from an AI tool. I can't see the chat here. Have you switched the chat off, Donna?
No.
That's really weird. I've got no chat on my screen.
Bottom right-hand corner, Steve.
Bottom right-hand corner? Weird, it's not there. So there is a new blog post that has been created by Google Cybersecurity arm, and that is looking at how Gemini is protecting you against prompt injection.
Now we've lost them all together.
Yeah, a refresh did work, but it kicked me and I came back. There you go. Look at that. So so if there's a little link here I'll drop in about that. There is also a really, really cool documentary called Hacking Google. And it talks about way back in 2009 when Google actually got hacked, how we completely rebuilt our cyber defenses from the ground up. And to the point that Google actually kicked everyone off their network globally to rebuild the network security. So if you're into really interesting security stuff and want to watch a good documentary, Hacking Google on YouTube is a brilliant one. And I've just linked in that little link there to the prompt injection thing as well. And I am just going to do this. And if I could possibly grab the screen for a sec, I will show you a couple of my favorite little things that I've been doing with Canvas lately, because Canvas is, I guess, my second favorite tool next to Notebook LM. One thing I created is, thank you very much, this little random number generator where I can just hit the space bar and do a little random number generator. If you want to run a random number generator, but you don't want ads popping up on it, really, really useful one is this side. That was my really simple Canvas prompt up there. And the other one was, if you want a wheel of name spinner and you don't want all the ads popping up, just get Canvas to build it for you. So there is a wheel of name spinner with everyone's names on it for tonight. So those are my couple of little updates. Have a look if you are an admin about those updates to Gemini Notebook that have been announced, but nothing has happened yet. It will give you some information on that, really, really important, and a couple of those extra little things as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. And my big win for the week, which has got nothing to do with AI, was I realized that without Education Plus, I could have building blocks inside slides, but I had to be in US English to get them. So I realized this week that's why I didn't have them. That was my big one.
Yes. So the templates and the building blocks currently have rolled out to US English. And I saw there was a question in the questions there about having your floating head on a presentation. You can do that in record. So you can record your face inside of slides. So speaker spotlight in slides, put your face in the slide. You can then record it like that as well. So speaker spotlight in slides will do that.
Thank you for picking that one up, Steve.
No,
You've redeemed yourself.
thanks.
We've just put the link there to the Auckland Summit that's coming up in September. If you haven't been aware of that yet, Rachel tells me it is virtually sold out and they were just releasing some extra tickets today. So if you want to register for the summit, get in quick and do that. It will be fantastic with Eric Kurtz as the keynote and some amazing speakers.
And Eric Kurtz is not going to the Australian Summit, so it is a New Zealand only appearance for Eric. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That is going to be pretty cool. So do sign up for that. And okay, so thank you everyone for your time. We really appreciate it. We would love your feedback. And Steve is waiting to give away some swag. So if you want to either take the link or scan the QR code and fill in the feedback, we'll give you a few minutes. Michael will be board gaming with Eric in a few weeks' time. Well done, Michael. He's going to be off to ISTE and playing board games with Eric. Fill in that form now. We're going to give you a couple of minutes to do it, and then we are going to put your names not into Steve's spinner, but into a spinner and spin for some swag. So we'll just give you a couple of minutes. Maybe Rachel might want to share her amazing chatbot that she made while people are filling in the form. How about that, Rachel?
I think if you go back to that slide that was blank, Donna, I had some because I did it
off screen and there were actually quite a few blank slides.
Maybe you need to refresh as well because I got rid of them in my one.
Okay, let me refresh.
And I just chucked in a slide just after Jeremy.
Yeah. Okay, slide 14.
Yeah, so if you just go slideshow, I'll just quickly talk about this.
All right.
While everyone's filling out. So what I did, Steve was talking about Notebook LM being his favorite tool. It's also my favorite tool, and I presented. Oh, Lynn needs the link for the feedback. Let's stick it in the,
just getting it. Can somebody put that in because it was a Brandly link? Who's sharing? So I'm sharing.
You're sharing. So what I did is I went into Notebook LM and I was doing some research on Te Kuti. So if you just click click once, Donna, seeing as though you're driving at the moment.
Okay, why don't I stop sharing, you share, and then I can share the link to the...
Oh my Lord. Okay.
How's that?
Sure. Let's share.
Good teamwork.
Oh my goodness. It means people are going to see my horrificness.
Right, and I'm popping the link in the chat.
We've gone too far.
Tab groups.
Shush. Who is that?
Oh, hang on, that's the wrong link, people. It's copied.
Oh my gosh, where is my thing gone? Here it is. Sorry, team. Okay, so I was in Notebook LM and I hit study guides, and from study guides, I uploaded that into Gemini and I created an interactive activity based on all of Te Kuiti's information, and I created some study guide flashcards for older kids. So once you're inside Notebook LM, you obviously have access to all of these. I also created a timeline of events. Oh, what happened to my timelines? It's gone. Oh, it hasn't copied over. So the timelines were a drag and drop activity, and when the kids dropped the event into the correct time, it did a little celebration emoji, which is what Corny couldn't get his to do the first time he tried. And also the frequently asked questions. So all of these things are just a touch of a button inside Notebook LM, and then you can put them into Canvas inside Gemini to create the interactive activities. And then this is the chatbot that I created from a briefing document. So all of my documents on Te Kuiti, this is the chatbot that I created, and this is just a little gift to show you how it worked. So the kids could either hit the microphone and record their voice, or they could just type in the question that they wanted to know, and then the chatbot would answer them. And once again, there was the option to listen to the answer and or read it. So that was just a really quick little overview of some things that you can do.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, we have got 13 names in our spinner. Let me just check if anyone else. Oh, yes, good one, Lynn. You got in just in time. So we currently have Glenn, Jordan, Justine, Karen, Sarah, Kylie, Jeremy, Michael, Amy, Rachel, Amber, Tangiha, and Lynn. Anyone else want to get their name in quick?
Nairi exited the building, did she? She's in trouble.
Oh, Natalie is in there. So we'll put Natalie in. Hey, I won't share my screen because I'm sure people don't want me to share their names on screen, but anyone else want to jump in? Okay, so Steve, how many pieces of swag are we giving away this week?
Let's do 3. Let's do 3. Why break with tradition?
All right, let's go with 3. So the wheel is spinning. Okay, and the other reason I'm not showing it is because one of those sites that has ads. All right, our first winner for tonight is Amy. Congratulations, Amy. You are winner number 1.
Amy. Right. Yes, it is, Jeremy.
Okay. All right. Number 2.
Old technology pen isn't working.
Okay. Our winner number 2 is Jordan. Congratulations, Jordan. You are winner number 2. And winner number 3 is Natalie. Congratulations, Natalie.
All right. These are not items from Swan's car boot sale last week. These are new things. New things.
Awesome. So, Steve, those 3 people send you their contacts? Is that the easiest way?
You can email me with your addresses, please, at nzsteve@google.com. That would be great. Then I can send them to you, these 3 lovely little boxes.
Awesome. Congratulations, and thank you, those people, for giving up your time, and thank you, everyone, for giving up your time. So that's it for this call. Really appreciate everyone's input, your great questions, the great ideas that you shared. Thank you, Glenn, for being a first-time sharer. I think, Steve, I'm going to throw you in it, but can you send Glenn something for being a first-time sharer? That would be really fantastic. Thank you, Steve.
It's one of those public questions that I can't, of course, go no. But yes, of course I will, Glenn. Of course.
I know, that's why I asked in front of everyone. So thank you, Glenn. Something coming your way.
Pile of swag. Yeah, no, it's going to Glenn.
And it's recorded, so we can't back out. Well done.
So we can't back out. Yeah, awesome. So we will stop the recording now. And then if anybody wants to share anything off recording, that's fine. Recording. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate your time. Have a great week.